My name is Christina Smith, and my project for climate change was on the effects of climate change on the wildebeest migration. Some background information on the wildebeest. Wildebeest are also known as gnu, which is the Afrikaans word for wildebeest. They're members of the antelope family, even though a lot of individuals believe them to be more bovine due to their large hindquarters. And they can be found throughout central, southern, and eastern Africa. They're extremely large animals that can be up to 8 feet in length and 4.5 feet tall at the shoulders and weigh up to 600 pounds. Their role in the ecosystem is mainly to control the growth of short grasses and as a food source for large predators such as lions, cheetahs, hyenas. On the list of endangered and threatened species, they are least threatened. This is a diagram of the Serengeti ecosystem. If you zoom in, you can see here in the center, there's the wildebeest. They're mainly feeding on short grasses. And if you look at the top level, predators and carnivores at the top, they are fed on by hyenas, lions, cheetahs, and servals. On the next slide, I provided a link to an excellent PowerPoint video that demonstrates or shows the migration of the wildebeest. You can easily see in this video that the wildebeest migration involves not only wildebeest, but other animals such as zebras, gazelles, and elephants, and predators such as hyenas, lions, and cheetahs. The migration itself begins in the Serengeti, and the animals move northward into the Masai Mara in search of green vegetation to feed upon and also sources of clean and fresh water. They do this during the dry season when lands in the Serengeti do not have enough food to feed the 2 million wildebeest that migrate along the circular migratory route. In addition, during the rainy seasons, they will then stop the migration and make their way back south to Tanzania. This is also a map showing the route from Tanzania north into the Masai Mara in Kenya. As mentioned before, 2 million wildebeest embark on the migration. This is also an important time for birthing for the wildebeest. Up to 50,000 calves are born at the beginning of the rainy season, and these calves can walk as soon as they are born and be part of the migration. The migration also impacts other herbivores and carnivores. The future of the migration is currently threatened. There is a dramatic decline in the number of wildebeest, especially in the last 10 to 20 years. Most of this is due to human impacts. So you can see in this picture, this wildebeest has been caught in a fence. So due to human activities such as urbanization, expanding of farms, and fencing, it's negatively impacting the migratory routes of the wildebeest. Without the wildebeest, the entire Serengeti ecosystem could break down, and there would be significant impacts on other animals such as zebras, gazelles, lions, and grass-fed food resources, as well as tourism in the Serengeti National Park. Impacts on the migration. Wildebeest require water every day to every other day. That's part of the reason why they migrate where they migrate, in addition to feeding on grasses. During the rainy season, they tend to feed on shorter grasses and longer grasses in the dry season. Rainfall and soil fertility are the main things that impact the amount of and types of plants that grow along their migratory routes. If you change the rainfall or change the type of soil, this will change where the plants grow. Green vegetation is the main criteria that affects where the wildebeest will migrate and the routes that they choose, followed by avoidance of difficult terrain. If the migration is based on resources, if the current trends continue, then wildebeest are going to fail to move across the entire ecosystem. In addition, tree coverage is also a huge factor, which is linked to the amount of fires and the frequency of fires across the savanna. Climate change in East Africa is a new issue of study. Climate change is actually really hard to study in Africa because there are no ice cores to study or tree rings. Mainly Climate change has been studied using lake levels and salinity of Lake Tanganyika, and it's been found that there have been cycles in climate from droughts to rainy seasons. If there is a rise in mean temperature in 2 degrees, this can have significant impacts on numerous animal species in Africa, including the wildebeest. These factors could dramatically impact migration routes, and as seen in this map, where the wildebeest migrate is an area of most concern, which would be right around there. In addition, climate change could also be linked to more extremes in weather patterns, including droughts and floods, which could impact the type of vegetation that grows, the amount of fresh water that is provided for the wildebeest, and thus could negatively impact the migration. According to this map, which focuses on climate change vulnerability in Africa, if you focus on the icons here at the bottom and then look at East Africa, the vulnerability that East Africa is going to suffer from is mainly deforestation, a loss of forest quality, and a loss of woodlands, all of which will dramatically impact the migratory routes of the wildebeest. Implications for the future migration. Currently, there are 2 foundations that focus on preserving the wildebeest migration. Neither one of these foundations or funds is focused on the effects of climate change. Another concern is that wildebeest current routes go through unprotected land, and animals are suffering from poaching and farming. Suggestions for the future. Climate change needs to be taken into consideration. Climate change is going to dramatically impact the type of green vegetation that grows, which is the main thing that influences the migration. If we don't understand what the grass is that grows, where it grows, what it needs to grow, then we're not going to be able to understand how climate change is going to impact that grass and thus change the migratory routes. In addition, wildebeest need water every day to every other day. So we also need to study the impacts of extreme weather patterns and how droughts especially is going to impact the migratory routes. In conclusion, wildebeest are essential to the ecosystem in the Serengeti. Every year, up to 2 million wildebeest migrate north through the Serengeti National Park to the Masai Mara. It's the largest mammal migration on Earth. Wildebeest numbers are already decreasing due to human activities from farming, poaching, and fencing. In the future, climate change is going to pose a significant impact on the wildebeest migration, mainly due to influencing the growth of green vegetation and where and when wildebeest will be able to find access to clean drinking water. Future conservation plans need to really focus on protecting the type of green vegetation that grows along the corridors that the wildebeest migrate along and water sources during the migratory routes. The last 2 slides of my PowerPoint focus mainly on references that were utilized in this PowerPoint and in my paper. Thank you.